Welcome to the New Left. This will be focused on what we really need to do as the left wing to unite, come together, and focus on the real issues rather than divide one another, focusing on issues that only pertain to a small group of people. Now I'm going to straight up say that I'm not a person that favors social justice warrior tactics, but I understand their goal. I understand what they're trying to accomplish. I understand that feminism actually does matter, that LGBTQIA rights matter, and that environmental issues matter as well. The only thing that we have to realize is not to confuse those issues with major issues that affect everyone else in the United States and in the world. We have to figure out how to work together in a way that we can protect everyone's rights, but at the same time build a force that can help us reach our ultimate goal, which is a leftist society, a liberal society, a progressive society, one that is focused on economic policies that support everyone. And in my heart, my goal is to actually help everyone reach their potential. I want equality, number one. Equality for all. And now let me explain what that means. I believe that every person has a place in society. Now, it's not up to us as government, business, or social community leaders to depict what any individual should become. It is up to that individual to decide what they should become. But as human beings, we have two roles in society. One, we have a role to ourselves. We have a role to our personal family, our personal community. For example, if you are an athlete, you have to dedicate yourself to your team, correct? You have to dedicate yourself to your skills and your ability to get better, and that doing so, you hope that this will translate into helping your family. At the same time, we have another side, which is your commitment to society. Now, this means building up a community beyond just your own. Communities in the future, communities in the present, and also educating those in the future. It means building up resources in which anyone can use these resources to help themselves in their lives. It doesn't necessarily mean any of these resources we build will be used to help me personally. But the goal is to build a stronger society that will last deep into the future, hundreds of thousands of years from now, to ensure humanity is not destroyed, to ensure that our experiment of democracy, freedom, and justice, an individual pursuit of happiness continues to go on beyond ourselves. That's where you get into the murky area. Like if you're walking through a lake, or you're walking off the beach, you get to the light sand, and then you get into the large boulders and edgy rocks, which can cut your feet the further you go into the water. Right? When are we, the liberal left, the progressive left, going to decide that our bickering and arguing amongst each other, us allowing careerists whose only goal is to further their careers and make as much money as they can on political things, are going to control what's going on? It's up to us, and when I say us, I mean the actual everyday supporter of these ideas to come together. Now I want to say something else too. We have to define once again what it means to be a leftist and what it means to be a liberal and what it means to be a progressive. Now here's some simple definitions. And I have to say this too before I say that people confuse progressive as if it's its own category. Progressive is just a subcategory of being a leftist or a liberal. That's all it is. When the French Revolution happened, they had three main groups. These groups are still inspired on the French flag, and that is the blue, the white, and the red. The blue is the left. The white is the center, which they deemed it as the elites, the owning class, the kings and queens, the monarchs. And the right was basically the supporters, the conservatives who wanted to keep things how they were, in which they made money and built wealth for themselves, alongside the center, which we also know as the monarchy. The left stood for the people. The left ideally believes in equality. So when you say, I am left-wing, you're just basically saying that you believe in equality. Now, let's define equality. Equality basically is saying that you believe everyone should have a shot. So, if you have two people, one person very rich, another person very poor, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is their capability. They should both have similar resources to succeed. And I think the best way to explain this is if you took these two people and you put them in the wild, and they both had the equal set of skills that they both should be able to survive. Now, one might not be as good as the other, but they should still both have the same equal access to resources. No one has control over the resources, like naturally. I don't know, maybe a million years ago, when we were Australopithecus was the dominating sapient species at the time, they had all pretty much equal access to all the resources. And it wasn't until later, until us as Homo sapiens grew into a stronger species and we started controlling regions and deeming that a certain region was our own. I personally don't argue with that whole idea that humans did that, because I think it's a stage of evolution. So that's what you're looking at. But at the same time, let's look back at this and change things up a little bit. If you have basically two people, one is not very educated, not very capable, not very strong, and the other person is, then obviously with equal resources out there, with equal access, the person who's smarter, more capable and everything, they're gonna win. But then we leave it to that person to help the other people. And this is where you get into basically the socialist philosophy. That has nothing to do with leftism. That is socialist. The next thing you have is liberal. Okay, let's get into that. A liberal is basically someone who believes in individual rights. So when someone says, I am a liberal, what they mean is, I believe that you should be able to live how you want to, as long as it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing. So libertarians are liberal. They just have some little differences. from a classical liberal or a modern liberal, which we all look at when we say liberals, we mean modern liberals. So, liberals believe in individual freedom, individual expression, freedom of speech. So, a lot of these people that you may call the progressives, stuff like that, they are not liberals, okay? They're not even progressives. They just use those names and terminology when they're not really those things because they don't believe in either of those things. Okay, then we move on to progressive, right? When you say progressive in the modern term, see, in the past, progressives were started by the right wing. Theodore Roosevelt was pretty much one of the first progressive politicians. And he believed in progressing society, the American society, right? And he believed we could do that in several ways. Military, we could do that with labor rights, all these type of things. So when someone says they're a progressive, all they mean is they want to progress things from basically the liberal establishment. Back then, the liberal establishment was the Republicans with Theodore Roosevelt. They were much more liberal than the Democrats at that time. And this was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So, remember, when you hear somebody say, I'm a progressive, ask them, so you're a liberal? And if they say, no, I'm not a liberal, then realize instantly that they don't even know what a progressive really is. So, me personally, I'm a leftist liberal. Now, I am also progressive as well. What does that mean? That means I believe in equality for all. I believe in individual rights and expression, but at the same time, I dislike what the current liberal establishment is accomplishing in their political agenda. I disagree with that. So that makes me a left-wing liberal progressive. Very simple. And then we bottle all that up and say, I am a progressive. Now, the problem today is people have used terminology and mucked up everything. So they don't know what the hell is a progressive, what is a conservative, what is a liberal, what is left wing, what is right wing. Right wing doesn't mean you're a racist. Right wing simply means you support the power structure. Meaning, you believe there can be more success when things are controlled. Well, religion is a way you can control things. Military is a way you can control things. Corporate power is a way you can control things, and that is simply why you usually see a lot of people who are religious, corporate power, or military power tend to be right wing. And this isn't just American, this is pretty much in history, because they support the power structure at the time. They want to continue that power structure. And this is why you can have people who should be left wing like Obama tend to be a little bit right wing. Same thing like Hillary Clinton. Because they still support the power structure. At that time, they like the power structure of the left wing, which tends to push them more right. Because they don't have an open mind to having equal access to everyone. So let's say anyone can become president, so that anyone can run for any office. Let's continue to say that anyone can start a business anywhere. They moved away from that, which made them more right wing, which would explain why many young people didn't want to support them. Now, I think the next thing I should answer is, why am I leftist? Why am I liberal? And why am I progressive? Number one, I'm left wing because I grew up in a tough world. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. And seeing those neighborhoods, being also a black man in America, I realized that certain people don't have access that other people do. And not necessarily these people who have access are always the smartest and most capable people. And they don't always provide the best ideas or use the resources the right way that will lead everyone to having success. I strongly believe that anyone who plans to be a leader or gets involved politically should care about everyone, not just the right or the left, not just this person or that person, but everybody. Even if they're racist, I think you should help them. You shouldn't just leave them out there. You should be finding a way so that they can find success for themselves. Second, why am I a liberal? I'm a liberal because personally in my own life, I like to do what the hell I want to do. I can't stand when people tell me how I should be. I couldn't stand it even when I was a kid. So I don't think anyone should be telling you how you should be. And that's religious beliefs, social behaviors. I believe if you want to be racist or sexist, you should have that right. But at the same time, I should be able to build my own company and business and say, I dislike people who act that way. And I don't want to sell products to people who act that way. Now, if you want to buy my product, you can buy it, but I'm going to tell you that I don't like people who are racist. I don't like people who are basically discriminatory. But I'm not going to stop you from doing whatever you have to do as long as you don't stop me. That's the important thing that we need to learn. I strongly believe if we want to succeed as a people, you have to get people to understand you. And I believe it's more power when you basically get people to join your side even when they hate you. Because your arguments, your ideas are so powerful, they go beyond even their own stigmas and their own hatred. And I think this is what you see in sports, right? Like, there's a lot of racist people, right? But they still watch basketball, they still watch football, they still support those sports. They will call someone an N-word and still go watch that person play sports. This is the power of when you just have a better product or a better skill or art that you can provide them or a mindset, they still will support you. And I mean, this was seen with Obama. It's just more better. It's better than basically forcing someone to like something or believe in something. It never works well because they're just gonna go against you. It's better to just be out there, share your ideas, help them, and give them time to come around, and don't deify them. No one deserves to be deified. Now, lastly, why am I progressive? I'm a progressive because I'm fucking tired of how Democrats and Republicans have continued to fail us. Specifically, the Democrats, I feel like they haven't lived up to what liberals and progressive in the left wing have been about the whole time. And few of them are even liberals at this point. Few of them are left wing at this point. And pretty much now we have a center-right party, which is the Democrats, and a far-right party, which is the Republicans. And this is a failed system. So, if we're gonna want to get beyond that, we're gonna have to figure out how to come together. And that's what you're here right now to hear about, to figure out how can we get beyond the current political stigma. That's what we're gonna do with the new left. Why do we call it the new left? Because they had the original left. That's like the French Revolution. Well, it was very bloody, so we don't want to be like that. Then you had the new left, which is like FDR. Now, other people will say, well, the new left is actually like the social justice warriors, all those guys, and the regressive progressives, all those. No, they're not the left. No, they're not the left, dude. Because they don't believe in freedom of speech. First of all, that's not even liberal. They don't believe in true equality. They believe in equality for the people they want. So that's not really left wing. And the only thing I think that kind of makes them left is that they, kind of care about people, but they care about only their specific group. So how does that make them any different than the right wing or conservatives? So right now, I want you to think about, are you left? Are you a liberal or are you a progressive? I think if you're interested, I'll break down what is right wing and what's conservative and what's libertarian, which I would say is like the opposite of all the other three categories and subcategories I discussed. And we could try to figure out how we move forward. The new left is going to basically give you a different perspective. It's going to give you an actual vision of where we need to go and how we can change the world. And I think this is going to inspire several different groups. It's going to inspire like people who live in the ghetto and the hood, who think, why should I even be involved in politics? Well, the new left, we're going to get you involved. Those young, educated people coming out of college with a lot of school debt, the new left, we're going to get you involved. We're going to have ideas that interest you. The business-minded person who wants to change the world with their business ideas, you're going to be interested in the new left. Now, who's not going to be interested in the new left? Well, very few people. It's going to be a very small group. Because I think right now everyone is dying for equality. They're dying for individual freedom. They're dying for economic freedom. And they want to do what the hell they want without the government or some other clowns trying to tell them how to be. Now, this doesn't mean we support like sexual abusers and people like that. This doesn't mean we support racist people. It means we don't fucking lose our mind over them and we still stick with what we think is important and we try to reach our own goals. We don't move earth in mountains just to have an argument with the right. In reality, we see ourselves as superior to the right. Why? Because we believe we have just better ideas in general. And I will argue that a lot of people on the right are left, but they left the left. Why? Because we got so fucking caught up in a lot of other shit that has nothing to do with left-wing philosophies, which mostly focus on economics. They don't focus on all this other bullshit about like individual stuff. Now, as a liberal, I totally support if you want to be whatever you want to be. But where we differ is, I don't think you can tell someone else to have to follow what your own philosophies and ideas are. It's your job to motivate them, to educate them. It's not the job of the government. It's not the job of politicians to force people to basically, you're basically lazy. And instead of making your oral arguments, you get tired and you just want to shut other people down and shut them up. That is not liberal. So if you call yourself liberal, you're a fucking idiot. You're actually totalitarian. You're closer to like Hitler or Mao than you'd ever think. And this is the same shit I see on the right wing. They're no different than these other people who claim to be left and this gives the fucking right so much juice because they get to bash I get so sick and tired when they say bash the leftists and bash progressives and they bash liberals. And it's like, those guys aren't liberals. And they're such a small fucking group. That's why everybody's mostly independents, because they think like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the leftist. That is not left. Or I'm not right, which most of them are not really right. So I think this is enough for right now. I want you to sit on it and think about it. Are you left? Are you liberal? And are you a progressive? Now, if you're any of those, we got a home for you right here. We also have a home for center people, mostly center left. And I hope you get some time to sit down and think about these things and go do some of your own research and see what I'm talking about. This was Etienne, aka ET. Thank you, and have a good day.